Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name's Susie and I'm so happy that you're joining me today. On my channel, I like to do a lot of DIY for decorating my home. I also take outdated, unwanted, thrifted items and flip those items into beautiful home decor to sell in my retail booth. Occasionally, I will do a home tour of my home or my friends and family's home. If this is the kind of content you like, I would be honored if you would subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming up here on the farm. In today's video, I'm going to be making 5 handmade book stacks. These are so much fun and an inexpensive way to get super creative. So come on and let's get started. The first thing you want to do is take all the spines off these paperback books. These are just inexpensive romance novels that there are thousands of in the thrift store, usually anywhere from 25 to 50 cents. You want to be sure and get all the color off the spines there. For my first book stack, I want to put wording on it, so I just printed these out on my LaserJet printer. I'm going to put the words Home Sweet Farmhouse on these, and you want to be sure and print them horizontally, just so the whole piece of paper goes on the book spine. I wanted the words to be towards the end, so I'm just going to Mod Podge those on. Now, normally you would want to cut these a little bit larger than the book. I kind of messed up and didn't leave enough space in between the words, but we still made it work here. But it would be much easier if you would cut the strips larger than the spine. So you just Mod Podge them down really well and put them away to let them dry. I learned this technique from watching Julie from Julie's Signs and Designs on YouTube. She makes everything look so easy and effortless. And if you haven't checked her out, you need to, because she comes up with some great ideas. About Mod Podge is you have some time to work with it, and I noticed that the E was coming off the end there, so I was able to just pick the whole thing up and lay it back down. Once the Mod Podge is dry, you just trim the edges and the top off and put another layer of Mod Podge on the top of these words, and be sure to stick the tops down and the sides down with the Mod Podge this time. Once the Mod Podge was dry on the top, I'm going to decorate these, and sticking with the farmhouse theme, I'm going to put this black and white check on this one, and since there was some room on the side, I thought that would look cute. So I also did hot glue the books together in between the books, and now I am hot gluing the ribbon on. before cutting the extra off. All that is left now is to wrap some twine on it and put a little floral, and the first book stack is done. I got this floral stem at Hobby Lobby. I did pay a little more for this one than I usually would, but it was really big, and I knew I was going to cut it up into a lot of different little pieces for these book stacks and whatnot. I think this one was like $9 with the and it was half off, so it was almost $5 for this stem, but it was worth it. And then I thought it needed a little bit more color, so I have this yellow, and I just put a little bit of that on there with it, and this book stack is so cute, and I love how it turned out, and it matches my house perfectly. So I don't know that I will be selling this one. For the next book stack, I'm going to start by hot gluing all the books together first. I printed this picture of a little birdie carrying a letter on my LaserJet printer from graphicsfairy.com, and I'm just going to Mod Podge it on top of the spines. And you don't want to put too much Mod Podge because it might wrinkle your paper, and you also want to be sure not to get your little birdie's eyes in between a book in a crease. To have it all pushed in, you want to put it aside and let the Mod Podge dry completely. And here is my first fail, and this is why it is so important to let the Mod Podge dry completely. If you don't, it will tear your paper, and that is what happened here, and I ended up having to start all over. So let your Mod Podge dry completely. Lucky I had printed the same picture of the birdie, just a little bit larger, and I did notice that the reason my Mod Podge had not dried was because I had a thick glob of hot glue where I had glued the books together and it had come out. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Press the birdie down good, making sure that his eyes are not in a crease, and letting the Mod Podge dry overnight this time. And now it cuts very easy, and you just take your X-Acto knife and cut in between the books. It is easier to cut the sides down with scissors, and as you can see, I needed to put a little bit more Mod Podge under there. So now I am making sure that it is glued down good and putting another layer of Mod Podge on top. I think I did end up having to glue those books back together up top. And once the Mod Podge is dry, I am going to just antique this just a little bit with some antiquing wax and water mixture. Just going to paint it on the spines only. I don't really want to get it on the books. And then I'm just going to take a paper towel and dab it dry just to age this bird just a little bit. And then on to the fun part of decorating this book stack. You can use ribbon, twine, lace, just about anything you have on hand to decorate these. I had this little burlap with a lace on it, and I thought it would be cute with this little birdie. So that's all I'm doing here, is gluing it on just like I did the ribbon on the previous one, except for I'm doing this in a different place on the book stack. I added a little greenery, and the little birdie book stack is done, and I just love how it turned out. It looks very vintage. What do you guys think? I finally got me some of the farm animal stamps from IOD, so I want to try them out. And since it's getting close to Easter, I'm going to try this little bunny first. I wanted to make sure that it fit on the books, and it just barely fits on these books. So I'm going to hot glue them together again, and then I'm going to paint them with just the white and mixture of paint that I have. I did paint the spines, and I did paint the top on this one. I wish I had just left the pages because I think it would have looked better. But you live and you learn. Next time I will not paint the top, more than likely. Once my paint is dry, it's time to put this little bunny on. And since this is my first time using him, I'm going to use a light grit sandpaper and just rough him up a little bit before putting the ink on. Going to be using the Stays On black ink, and I'm just going to stamp him on with my hand, trying to center him in the book. I thought he came out looking more like a little rat than a rabbit, but maybe once I get it decorated, it'll be better. And since I painted the top of the book, I decided to go ahead and stamp him on the top as well. I lost the footage of where I antiqued this one a little bit, but I did the same thing with the Waverly antiquing wax and water, and then just dabbing it off just to get some of the stark white out and to make this bunny look a little bit more aged. And then I'm just going to decorate it up with some twine and some floral, and this book stack is done. For the fourth book set, I wanted to use some air dry clay. and I ordered these molds off Amazon and thought I would give it a try. This is my first time working with clay, but I've seen a lot of people do it. So I used the baking powder and put some in the mold to keep it from sticking. I pushed the air dry clay down into the mold and did just like I've seen everyone do, clean up the sides. And here's where things started to go really wrong. Every one I've seen, the clay just pops right out, but I could not get it to work. Matter of fact, it's stuck inside the mold. I don't know what I was doing wrong. So I decided to try it a couple more times and still could not make it work. So sometimes when that happens, you just have to regroup. So I decided to just clean up and stop for the night, regroup, watch another video, and see what I'm doing wrong to try to get this to work. Okay, so here we are the next night, and I'm gonna try to use the bigger molds, and I've powdered them down really good. And so I thought maybe I'm not working the clay enough, so I really worked it up good with my hands and tried to get this mold to work. And again, same thing, it stuck really bad, would not pop out. At this point, I'm super frustrated. So I just put it up again and said, forget it. A lot of times on YouTube, and I'm guilty of it too, we crafters only show that, how things turn out, and we make it look easy because we edit out all the stuff where it's messed up. Well, that is really not how it goes. If you spent any time crafting, you know that it rarely ever comes out right the first time, and it takes practice, and sometimes things go wrong, and sometimes you have to find a different way of doing something. And I just wanted to show you guys that it doesn't always work out and show you these fails so you know that you're not alone when things don't always work out. So this clay is really giving me fits, and I finally decided that it must be the clay. I had not used this, but I had had it a while, and I had it stored in the basement near the furnace and the dehumidifier, so I thought maybe that might have messed up my clay. So can't get it out, it sticks really bad. The next day I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought a brand new thing of clay, and I'm gonna give this air dry clay one more shot the next night. Okay guys, here we are on night 3 of air dry clay with a brand new thing of clay. So I did finally get this clay to work, and I kind of learned a trick. The first one come out great, and then I realized that I kind of need to leave a little extra clay on top to grab it out with some of the more detailed ones. So I like how this turned out. It was a lot of hard work, but I really do love the end result, and I'm thinking now that I know a little more what I'm doing, it will be much easier, just like a lot of other crafts. Yay, y'all just don't know how relieved I was that I finally got a mold to come out. So I am going to glue this on with some Gorilla Glue and make a few more and let it dry overnight and a little bit more on this clay before moving on to the next step. Now that my clay is dry, I'm going to put 1 coat of DIY Apothecary paint. This is my favorite spring color and it covers very well. It only takes 1 coat, but I was careful to be sure and get it in all the detail because I'm going to be putting some white wax over the top to bring out all that beautiful detail that I worked so hard on those molds. This is the Waverly wax from Walmart, and it says white wax, but it is a little yellow once it dries. This is all I had on hand. Next time I'm going to actually get a different kind of white wax, but this still looks absolutely beautiful on top of this Apothecary. So I let that sit on there for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna wipe it back, and the wax stays inside all those low spots, just really bringing out all the detail in this book stack. All that's left is to let that dry, and then I'm going to decorate it with this yarn and these cute little daisies and some yellow. And this guy turned out pretty cute for how much work it was. Can't say that it was my favorite because it was super frustrating, but I think now that I know what I'm doing, it will be much easier in the future. What do you guys think about this book stack? For my last book stack, I used the same method as the first one with printing the words out and Mod Podging them on. This one simply says you and me because I wanted the bulk of the book stack to be these painterly floral transfers from IOD. These are really easy to use. You just use the tool that it came with and rub on them until it transfers onto your surface. You can feel when it lets go, and then you can raise up the plastic, and if it isn't all stuck down, you just lay it back down and rub on it some more until it does. I think this book stack turned out pretty cute. These books all were not the same size, so I did another transfer there on the side, and I think that was pretty cute how that turned out. I just wanted to show you guys that you can do so many different things with these book stacks in so many different ways. You could use names to make them personalized. You can use photos. You can use different florals, all kinds of different ways to really be creative and have fun with these. much for watching today's video. I hope that this video has inspired you to get really creative in making your own book stacks, and also letting you know that sometimes things don't turn out quite like we want and they're a lot harder than anticipated. But that doesn't mean that you quit. You keep going, and eventually it will all work out and be beautiful. Let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite book stack of today. Again, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope y'all have a great day.